We can go ahead and get started.
Santi, this is Doug from the AJC. Were you pleased with how you performed on Tuesday? What do you think you need to work on, and what do you think you did well?
¿Estabas satisfecho con tu rendimiento en el partido? ¿Qué crees que hiciste bien y si hay algo para mejorar?
Sí, creo que por ser el debut me sentí cómodo con el equipo. Quizás no se presentó el partido como esperábamos, pero más allá de eso, creo que estuve correcto. Obviamente para mejorar siempre van a haber cosas, pero estoy conforme con mi debut.
I think for being my debut, I felt very comfortable. I think the game didn't totally go as we expected it to, but for being, my first game, I felt comfortable, and of course, there's always things to work on.
Santiago, ¿qué tal? Muchísimo gusto. Te habla Felipe Cárdenas con Directore. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Felipe? ¿Todo bien?
Muy bien, gracias. Mira, me acuerdo que antes te agarraron en el carro, saliendo de las facilidades en River. Te preguntaron ahí mismo que venías a jugar para un técnico exigente, teniendo en cuenta que habías pasado mucho tiempo con Marcelo también. ¿Podés hacer una comparación, no entre los dos técnicos, pero dos técnicos que tienen dos estilos muy definidos, muy marcados? ¿Cómo fue esa adaptación de venir de jugar con River a jugar con Inter?
Question's just about playing for two different, or if you can compare the styles of play between River and Atlanta and his adaptation.
Sí, como todos ya saben, son dos técnicos muy reconocidos y también se caracterizan por entrenar al máximo.
They're two coaches who are very well recognized and they're known for working to the maximum.
Considero que cada uno tiene su propio estilo. No está bueno compararlos, pero como en River estaba en una exigencia muy alta, creo que vino a un lugar donde también la exigencia es mayor, ¿no?
I think they both have their own different styles, so I don't want to compare them. But coming from somewhere like River, where the standard is very high.
Gracias.
Okay.
Sí, perfecto.
Santiago, Joe Patrick from Dirty South Soccer. Piggybacking off of that question, your role specifically, is this something that is new for you that you are learning right now, or is this something that you are familiar with from your time at River Plate?
Este rol que estás cumpliendo ahora, si es algo que estás cómodo o si es algo nuevo para ti.
Sí, el rol lo conozco porque yo en inferiores tuve un técnico donde jugaba muy similar al esquema que utilizamos ahora.
It's a role that I'm familiar with because when I was in the youth system, I had a coach who played me in a very similar role.
Y la verdad que me siento muy cómodo con este sistema. Me gusta la posición donde estoy jugando.
I feel really comfortable in that spot, and it's one that I'm adapting really well to.
Y considero que puedo todavía seguir mejorando mis puntos.
And I think I can still keep improving on some aspects.
Pero en River Plate no jugaba en esa posición.
But at River, I didn't play in that position.
I'll go again. So Santiago, can you talk about what the locker room was like at halftime of the game on Tuesday, considering the red card happened right before you guys hit? Was it just a tactical session essentially at that point?
¿Cómo fue el vestuario durante el descanso del partido? Si fue como una sesión táctica o cómo era.
Sí, durante el descanso de entretiempo nos mantuvimos tranquilos, no nos desesperamos en ningún momento.
At halftime, we stayed totally calm. At no point did we get desperate.
Porque por más, obviamente, que tengamos un jugador menos y juguemos en condición de visitante, es difícil poder jugar de igual a igual a un equipo en esas condiciones, pero considero que ni bien empezó el segundo tiempo, fuimos a buscar el partido. Por suerte por suerte se nos abrió el marcador temprano y después creo que hicimos un partido correcto, ¿no?
Even though it's difficult to play in a situation like that where you're going to be down a man and also playing on the road against a really good team, it's difficult, but I think we were able to handle the situation well, and luckily we were able to get a goal at the beginning of the half.
Santi, you twice said there's a couple of things you want to improve. Can you please share what those things are?
Si puedes compartir algo de las cosas que te gustaría mejorar.
Sí, algo que me gustaría mejorar, que quizás yo tengo a veces la costumbre de ir a presionar hacia adelante y a veces pierdo un poco el orden.
One thing I'd like to work on is sometimes I have the habit of going to press and can lose the order a little bit.
Y otra cosa que a veces cuando en el partido yo veo a un compañero solo lejos, que está en condiciones no sé si en condiciones de darle un pase, pero quizás a veces me apresuro y debería tomarme un segundo de más o jugar a un compañero más seguro en vez de buscar el pase difícil, porque yo lo que tengo que hacer es darle seguridad al equipo.
And sometimes there's moments at the game where I see a teammate who might be open for a pass, and sometimes I might rush a little bit to play it, so I want to have more patience because the thing that I want to bring is to play simple and to bring security to the team.
Santi, one of the difficulties you've talked about with your position is communicating with the center backs. I noticed during the game that Miles got a knock on the head, and you responded by giving him a little kiss on the top of the head as like a friendly gesture. How close are y'all with the center backs, and how easy has it become to communicate? Are you getting more comfortable with communicating?
Dice en ese golpe que recibió Miles en el partido que le diste un beso, y la pregunta es, bueno, ¿cómo va esa comunicación con los centrales y bueno, tu relación con ellos?
Sí, nuestra comunicación es buena. Yo algunas palabras en inglés las sé las palabras básicas que se utilizan en un partido.
The communication is going well. I know a little bit of English, especially the basic words that you need to communicate during the match.
Fue nuestro primer partido juntos. Si bien no es fácil jugar la primera vez, creo que hicimos un partido bueno.
It was our first game. I think we did things well, but since it was our first game, we still have things we can do better.
Y con respecto a lo de Miles, simplemente le dije que si estaba bien, que tratara de levantarse, ya que si entraban los médicos, nos íbamos a quedar con un jugador menos, o sea, con 9. Entonces le pedí que por favor se levantara y se quedara en el campo.
And with Miles, I just checked to ask if he was okay, to make sure he was all right, because if he would have had to go off, we would have been down to 9 men at that point. So I just said, are you okay? And I hope you can continue.
Santi, what did y'all say to Rocco at halftime and then after the game after his performance?
¿Qué dijiste a Rocco antes de que entró y si les dijeron algo después del partido?
Sí, cuando entró la vorágine esa de estar todos un poco exaltados por la expulsión.
Yeah, when he had to come in, there was a lot of pressure in that moment.
En el momento ese no le dije nada, pero bueno, después cuando empezó el segundo tiempo le dimos tranquilidad con todos mis compañeros.
I didn't say anything to him at that moment, but once he came in the second half, we were just trying to keep him calm, myself and my teammates.
Y después obviamente obtuvo las felicitaciones de todos por la gran actuación que tuvo y también por su debut como profesional.
And after, he just got congratulations for everyone because of his performance and also for making his professional debut.
Que no es nada fácil.
Which is not easy.
Did
Santiago,
having to come in Did it make y'all focus even more, do you think?
Cuando él entró, si el equipo tuvo que enfocarse más.
Sí, perdona.
Si cuando él entró, ¿sí crees que el equipo tenía que enfocarse más?
Sí, considero que al expulsarnos un jugador, todos tenemos que redoblar nuestros esfuerzos.
Yeah, I think when a player gets sent off, everyone has to double their efforts.
Por supuesto, concentrarnos más, como lo hicimos. Creo que todos tomamos conciencia de eso y jugamos el partido que hicimos.
Everyone has to stay concentrated, focused on the task, and we were able to perform the game that we did.
Hey, Santiago, Smart Sports Inquirer. What's it like being back on the field with Ezequiel Barco, and how has he helped you with the adjustment to Atlanta United?
¿Cómo es un partido en la cancha con Ezequiel? Si te ha ayudado a adaptarse a Atlanta.
Sí, bueno, como ya comenté en otra entrevista anterior, yo con Ezequiel compartí la selección argentina en la sub-20.
Yeah, as I've said before, I was able to be on the same team with him in the Argentine under-20 team.
Creo que es un jugador muy bueno, que dentro de la cancha uno se puede asociar con él.
He's a great player and he's someone who is easy to combine with on the field.
Y obviamente, al ser argentino, al igual que yo, la comunicación y el desarrollo dentro del campo creo que es mejor porque tenemos como que nos entendemos mejor, más.
And obviously, us both being Argentine, I think the adaptation and that development on the field is even easier. You got time for one or two more?
All right, yeah, I've got one. Santiago, mira, el primer partido, ese partido del martes, realmente fue un partido muy táctico, se notó, y cuando jugaron con 10 más aún, o sea, yo sé que Gabriel cambió la táctica, aseguró el mediocampo. ¿Qué esperas para esta segunda vuelta, teniendo en cuenta que Alajuelense, igual un equipo muy experimentado, ya te estudiaron, tanto a vos como al equipo? Analiza este próximo partido, por favor.
El partido de vuelta ahora va a ser un partido muy duro, considero yo más duro que el partido de ida, ya que ellos van a tener que venir a buscar el partido.
I think the second game is going to be very difficult, even more difficult than the first, because we know they're going to come here and try to take the game.
Por supuesto, también verán nuestros partidos, nuestros movimientos, sacarán sus propias conclusiones.
They'll watch the game and look at our movements and make their own conclusions based on that.
Pero más allá de eso, nosotros tenemos que focalizarnos en nuestro juego, estar preparados para lo que va a ser ese partido duro y no relajarnos ni confiarnos.
But we just have to focus on ourselves. We know it's going to be a difficult game and we can't relax at all.
Gracias.
All right, with that, we'll let him go. We've got Anton hopping on, so thanks, guys. Thanks, Santi.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Hey, Anton, I don't know if we've talked since maybe a couple of years ago. I'm Joe Patrick, Dirty South Soccer. I wanted to ask you about Miles Robinson because last time you would have played with him, he would have looked like a much different player. What are your impressions of him and where his game is now as compared to when you would have last seen him back in 2017?
I think he's showing his quality he's always had. Back in 2017, obviously, we were a lot younger. We were like the babies in the team and we didn't have the experience. And I think with the games he's played, he's matured and, you know, he's a great example of how applying yourself every day, you know, when you're not in a team can help you once you do get the opportunity to finally play.
Hey, Anton, it's Felipe. Nice to see you again. It's been a long time. Great performance the other night. I thought you and Miles were pretty massive, and Gabriel essentially confirmed that after the game. He doesn't smile much when he's talking to us, but when he was asked about you and Miles, you could tell that he was really proud of the performance. What has he been like to you players from a mentality perspective, as a leader, and tactically as well. How much are you guys learning under Heinze?
So far, I feel I've learned a lot just by the small details he's added. I keep saying it to everybody whenever I get asked this about how good he is. I think his attention to details and the small things being the priority first, I think it's what has helped us improve and, helped us find that performance. He's helped motivate the lads, which has been a vital part. And again, not only as a coach, but as a player, he had a ton of experience and he played under some of the best coaches as well. And to have that type of person mentoring you and giving you experiences from what he experienced while playing, I think that's been a very good and important thing for us as well in terms of our development.
Hey, Anton, it's Doug. Could you please talk about the interactions between you and Santi and Miles in that game the other night, and how you think y'all can improve, assuming you start in the next game?
It's just something you have to practice, and when you're with each other every day and you develop these relationships, it can only get better.
Anton, I've got a question, same question I asked Santi just before, Santiago. I mean, even when you guys went down 10 men, and before that too, Tuesday night's match was very tactical. You could really tell just from, even on TV, both coaches clearly had studied as much as possible. They tried to lock you guys down on the wings and then backed off, gave you guys a lot of control. What are you looking at for this second leg? They have more information now. They could try to nullify Santiago if they want to. What is the approach going into the second leg tactically for you guys?
Again, we've got our philosophy and we will stick to it. I don't think the gaffer will change his way of playing based on opposition. I think he believes in the group and he believes in his style, and it's okay that they know, what our strengths are, because we know theirs as well. And we've got a bit of an advantage, winning 1-0. And again, if we can keep things tight at the back and stop them from scoring, that's the job done. So that's going to be the main focus over the next couple of days, I assume, just making sure that we can keep them knocked out again.
Are you feeling more like a center back now? I mean, you've played all over the pitch. Even before you came back from Portsmouth, you were a 6. You were a fullback. You could play as a left center back or a right center back. I know versatility helps any player, but are you feeling right now currently like more in tune with the responsibilities and the awareness of a center back? What's required of a center back right now?
Yeah, I feel so. I think there's been a big initiative on someone being the vocal point and the leader at the back, and I think that's something I feel I can add. I think we've got a great group, and again, I said this last year, there was times where we lacked a voice, where I felt it could have helped us through the tough spells that we had. And it's more than just one guy. It's more than just me being the vocal point. I feel at centre back, if I can do that, it makes the job a lot easier.
Anton, with tonight left, MLS is doing really, really well on the road at some tough places in this tournament, better than it's ever done. Why do you think that is?
I think the preparation. I say we had a bit more longer time, especially last year. I think, with COVID hitting out when things were finally getting started, that kind of unsettled the teams. From my perspective, it did. But I say we know we need to be better in this competition. I think it's about time someone goes all the way and dominates, and that's our target. So we have no time to be starting off slow, because most teams, you get 2 or 3 games until you get a big game like this, but Champions League starts before a regular game. So the fact that we prepared, I feel well, that's definitely set us up to perform as well as we can.
Hey, Anton. I saw a few people talking about George Bellows' performance, especially defensively. He's with you on the left side of the back line, of course. Seemed like people were getting in behind him in some transition moments. Can you talk a little bit more about your maybe responsibility as the left-sided center back to maybe protect him in those isolated situations, or whether it's just kind of let folks go and be on an island and hope for the best?
No, there's no such thing as letting faults go. That's stuff that we're not trained to do. But I think there was a few times it did happen where, Bello had a guy running in behind him and I could get there and I stopped it. A few of the other times it don't happen, but that just depends on the tactics they set out. Because if I've got a man in front of me, it's kind of hard to cover someone else, especially when we're going man for man across the back line. So it's all these little details, which I said we're trying to learn, and the more we work on it, the less you'll see of those type of things. So again, it's a work in progress, and when it works, we've done fantastic at it. So we can't fault anyone in the back line because we all, tried our hardest and, stuck in for the whole game, especially being a man down. So, and not to take anything away from them, but their forwards are good forwards. They've got a good relationship, how you can tell by the way they move. So in a game, once or twice it will happen, and we just have to find a way to deal with it after.
I've got one more for you, Anton. In Costa Rican clubs, even the club that Atlanta played in 2019, I mean, they have a very distinct cultural style. They will play down the middle. They will combine. Alajuelense is a little bit more modern in that they like the wings. They like to attack down the wings. They have their fullbacks get up. They will whip in crosses. Gabriel told us last after the game that he wasn't concerned about wing play from them, that he essentially trusted you and Miles to clean that out if they were whipping crosses in. Did you guys study that on film? Did you see that? Is that something that you expect in Leg 2? And when they started to kind of concentrate on the middle in that second half, how did you adjust with Miles?
First of all, being a man down did kind of make it harder because they had more time on the ball to find the passes, and they do have quick wingers. So when they're spinning behind, they will find a way to get in front of you. So you have to react very quickly. So I think being a man down, we just have to be aware that there's no one to affect the play. So that's why in the second half, we kind of dropped more into, back five, and we brought Bello and Brooks closer just to help, defend the space in behind. And that completely kind of congested them because, again, with the balls into the box, we know they're good at it and the forwards will move. But especially with Santi being in the middle, it's kind of helping us provide cover because there will be a spare man. And that's what we're talking about where, defending the channels. If we've got a spare man back there, then I feel we should come out on top anytime the ball goes into the box.
And I don't know if concern is the right word, but as a central defender, when you have a goalkeeper like Brad Guzan, experienced goalkeeper, a captain, he's played in the Premier League. I'm sure that just gives the back four, the back three, just a lot of confidence. A new goalkeeper comes in, inexperienced, he's 18 years old. What changes there just mentally for you guys, the center backs?
Obviously missing Brad's a big thing because he's one of the most vocal guys on the team. But when, Rocco comes onto the field, you don't think, oh, he's 18, he's inexperienced, because, I train the guy every day and I see his quality. So he's there to do a job he wouldn't be playing otherwise. So we had that belief in him anyway. And, the kid's very talented and he showed what he's capable of. So it's just always good knowing that we've got the depth in our team where if something goes wrong, there's a plan B or even plan C. So again, he done well and it's something he can build on from now.
Thanks, man.
No
Anton,
problem.
I can only imagine, playing a first game under a manager is already difficult enough, trying to put the tactics in place and everything. Can you describe what it was like just at halftime, going down a man and kind of realizing that you were going to have to make some of the adjustments that you were just talking about a little bit earlier?
It's not ideal, but again, the gaffer just helped calm us down at halftime and just said, which is true, that it's football, things will happen, and it's out of our hands. And he was vocal. He was very loud in saying that we could get the result regardless of what happens. And we did. And if you looked around the team, I felt like there's more desire from the group, and I think that filtered all the way down from the coach. So we was very motivated and we stuck with it. And again, we got a great result and we will build from it.
Anton, on that play that led to Guzan's red card, what happened? Who was Barco passing to? Did someone call for it, or was it just an error?
No, it's just an error, and those things happen. But unfortunately, we wasn't there to cover, which, we'll look back over, we'll see what we could do different. And, we're trying to play football, so mistakes are going to happen. So again, it's very unfortunate, but errors will happen this season, and it's just about reacting to them.
Yeah. I just couldn't tell from watching it a couple of times if someone had called for it or if he was just trying to toe poke it away, and that's just where it happened to go, type of a situation.
Yeah, we just got caught open, and again, it happened, and they didn't score from it. So we'll find a way to make sure, if there's mistakes, there's people behind to put the fire out, because we don't want anything like that happening, especially being a man down. Made the game very hard after that.
Anton, I'm sure your Spanish is getting a lot better, but what happened? Describe what happened when the referee came. He had a yellow in his hand, and then switched to the red. I don't know if he had his hand in his pocket the whole time, but clearly there was a lot going on. Everyone kind of stating their case. What did you hear?
I definitely heard a lot of complaining from their players, as you would do if that happens. But I just thought, get to the ref as soon as possible and try and stop him, because in that situation, you see it happen all the time with players. They get around the ref, and I feel like, if that happens, it's kind of influential in terms of what happens next. And I'm not going to say it was a red, but, in that situation, you wouldn't be surprised if you do see a red. But yeah, I think he just had too much time to think about the decision, and that's the decision he came up with.
Hey, speaking of that, did you see George Bello get in front of the ref when on the other end of the field when you guys were awarded the penalty, and he was kind of shielding the opposing players from?
Yeah, I told him to do that, by the way.
Nice call.
I mean, it's part of the game, Anton, right? That is
right.
Part of the game. That's an automatic.
It is. There's, it's not just about kicking a round level ball. There's so much that goes into it, and it's those small details there which I think it changes games. And we have to, in football like this, I refer to it as street football. We have to be more street when it comes to things like this, because when little things like that, because I feel there's a few times when I feel their players could have been yellow carded, but if we're more vocal and we make the ref aware, I think things are going our way. So it's just about being ready and not causing too much trouble with the ref, but just making them aware of what's going on.
All right, if there's no final questions, we will cut them loose. Anything else, guys? Yeah. All right, thank you, Anton.